Now, Shabbos. I don't know if this is means anything, but it just, I guess, to keep people away from making presumptions. What do you mean, presumptions? Guy has 20 kids. Oh, he's got thousands of what do you call it? Descendants. And I've seen it. There was a guy. There was a Tzioni, but he came from the Sosra, and he worked with his sister, and the guy gave him Musa. Anyway, he became into a Kaltanik, but he established certain things in the kibbutz system that he was very famous for. So when he died, so they had over 1,000 descendants of Egene. I think by Rabbi Yosef, they also said he had 1,000 descendants. So they had 6 days themselves. 6 days is quite possible. I mean, so I'm saying, so there's an Indian. So you would think, there's a lot. If you look at the ones between Chodesh V'Mayla, and then from 30 to 50, you have one that has the most from Chodesh V'Mayla and have the least from 30 to 60, to 50. So obviously it doesn't necessarily have to work out. It's just a point. It's not I don't know if there's anything important in it to know, but just that you can't assume anything. And then we'd have people had a family of 8. They're going to have a lot of kids, and then somehow this one didn't get married, and this one didn't do this, and this one didn't do that, and they have only like 2 Einiglach or something like that, Then someone else comes along, and he has a few kids, and he has a lot of Einiglach. As you can see, Ya'akov Avinu. I'm ahead of Ya'akov Avinu. And he had 12 kids, I only had 4 kids. And I have more Yoshim than he had only 70 when he went to Mitzrayim. I have a lot more. And the thing, so I'm saying so. Because obviously the fact that you only had 4 kids doesn't mean nothing. I mean, the thing, huh?
By Don.
You only had 1, yeah. You only had 1. Okay. Then he counts the, again we said last week, the reason why he says the Loshen, that he made the Levium instead of the Kohanim instead of the Bechorim, and then he made the Levium instead of the Petarechems, right? He says again that Loshen here, does he say it over here? No, that's about later, but okay, says next week. Okay. They sent out all the sick people. That was before they got cured. That was the thing. Okay. Now, talking about the union of Saita. Saita is a shaila that he had a ruach kina, if it's a tahayradike ruach or it's a tamayadike ruach. What do you mean tamayadike ruach? Why is a person jealous? He thinks that, right? So these are cheschainis in himself, that he's cheshid yenim. So who says it's a mailot, the thing there. On the other hand, it's a concept that the Rebbeinu Shem has rachmanis on people. It's a thing, meaning that sometimes a person is forced into situations. With yichud, you don't even think it's yichud until you're in the situation. Office people have it all the time. Is there really a case of yichud? Have the boss and the secretary. There's no customers here now. Is that yichud or isn't it yichud? And stuff like that. So obviously there's hetera. I'm not getting paskening. Anyone got to search a shayla, go ask your own shaylas. That's not the point. The point is though that it happens. And we all know that this is a yetzer hara that can go from a split second to skila. Not skila. It could be a skila too. Okay, but it can come to chanik, whatever, for sure. It's a yetzer hara that's normal. So it's sometimes you got stuck and you wouldn't have thought about it. In a normal case, person doesn't have the situation. It doesn't have the situation. He never thinks about it. It's once the situation arises, then all of a sudden he starts thinking about it. At that time, Ken Zayin Rebbeinu sends a kineh. No, it's warned you. Really a good guy. About there's a shayla with the yetzer hara. You get warned. So get warned means it's okay. Now I've got to be careful. Okay, so whatever it is there, so it helps person to be careful. Okay, now and it says that he's I'm sorry, I skipped a piece. Okay. And he's talking about the gezel of Hantoyves Hanoya. Right? There's a gezel of Toyves Hanoya. And people may think it's not a gezel. Why? Because you don't have anything in it anyway. Let's say, I give you a motion. A guy got truma to give. Normally he gave it to a certain coin, or he never gave it to any specific coin. He gave it to different guys, or he gave it to some. The city took care of it. And then he took an Adam, a coin. Right? So he's going to give his truma to that coin. Why? Because I want to make sure I paid keitel that way. I don't have to pay him anything. So he has money for the keitel. I don't have to pay him anything. So that would be a reason that, let's say, that I would want to take it. Meanwhile, the other guy says, I also have an Adam, a coin. Let me steal your Toyves Hanoya, and I'll give it to my coin. I didn't really steal anything from you because it wasn't yours. It was saying you had a noya from it. That doesn't count. That's only Toyves Hanoya. It's called. It's not called a noya because you didn't eat it. It's just the right to give it to whoever you want to give it to. Okay. So the ikar is, I think, that the Torah wants to teach us that we have to treat all ownership that way. We had that before about Eretz Yisrael for sure. It's that way. About Yidden, it's that way. Avodayim, ve'avodim la'avodim. You're not allowed to make an Eved, a Yid, feel like an Eved. Even if he has a din of an Eved, meaning I bought him because he was stuck with money, he needed money, or Bezdin sold him, where he has even a lower degree, where he's even with the B'shivcha Kananis. Afal Pikain, there's a thing I can't make him work like an Eved. He can't look like an Eved. It's an Issa. Same thing goes with Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael, there's the nishmit, there's the din of matnas aniyim, there's this and that. But more than that, we said that matnas aniyim, we said in Emma, that of course the matnas aniyim is between the Kabbalah, between the Yom Tevin. So Rashi brings a modern lashon there that he says, which is not brought down. It's his own lashon. He says it's as if a guy does matnas aniyim koroyu, is Ki'ilu Beis Hamikdash. He built the Beis Hamikdash, and he was Makrif Karbonos in it. That's what Rashi says. The Sifra says a guy who gives matanis to Aniyim is if the Beis Hamikdash is Kayim and he brings matanis. What's the big deal? The difference is we build the Beis Hamikdash. That's the difference, right? So one says in first we don't build the Beis Hamikdash, and Rashi says we do build the Beis Hamikdash. How do you make build the Beis Hamikdash? Where are you getting it from? He adds the word Koroyu. That's the word. Where do we deal? What does Koroyu mean in Bava Metzia? We have in the Yud, you have the Indian that we learn out Oimed Tzaddeyu from Shikra. So you see that what's Oimed Tzaddeyu by Shikra? That the fact that if you're standing by your field and there's something in your field and you say, I want it to be kinder, even you're not doing anything now. But to do that, and I assume you can't run out, that's the point. If you can run out, then I have to get it, make sure it stays there. But let's say you can't go out, I have to be kinder. So that's the point, I want to be kinder. So that's the din. So we learn out from Shikra. The Shaila is, what's the case of Shikra? The case of Shikra is he had workers work in the field. So if he's in this, and the workers forgot the bundle. So the din is a Shikra if he's in the city. If he's Oimed Tzaddeyu, it's not Shikra. Why? Because he's koined. Why do I have to be koined? It's grew my field. I never forgot about it, so it was never Shikra. So why do you have to learn it out from Shikra that doesn't apply over there? It was never Hefker. No, that's what it's teaching you. It's not your field. All you have a right to do is to take the first stuff that grows. Anything left over is for the Yaniyim. And therefore this was left over. You want to claim you were koinit, so you had to be koinit to the thing there. But you can't say, because I didn't take yet from the stuff over there. So if you're in the city, you can't say that, so then it's shikra. You're over there, and it's saturated. And you have weiter nach machlekes and nach yud, that you have a machlekes where the dalaram is b'shus chaver legabi peyo. It exists over there. How do you have dalaram in my field? It's my field, not your field, right? Except that for you, it's a tzidar rishus harabim. Only the anim have a right here, so they can still use dalaram. So therefore, there's a thing. So we see that there's a madrege of koroyu. If I really realize that it's not mine, now you can bring koronis, maybe build a base of English, maybe even, because you realize that it's not yours. The thing that you have it by bikurim also. It says that with the pasuk is over there. The bikurim says the lashon is do a mitzvah that you be zoichet to bikurim. What kind of mitzvah? Do a mitzvah that be zoichet to conquer the land. What was that mitzvah? The mitzvah is bikurim. Well, how's that good with conquering the land? What has it got to do with the land? Right? Elavos, when you give bikurim, you're saying the land is not mine. So how do you say the land's not mine? You just did to give away a few early payers, which probably didn't taste too good in the first place. So what are you complaining about? Except that for the balapos, it tastes good. This is the first payers of my work. That tastes ganz geschmack, but only to an owner. The pile doesn't work for. It doesn't work. So therefore, if we maxim that we don't own the field, that it's not really ours, it's God's, and the stuff like that, so I can give away the bikurim. So then you're zoicha to get Eretz Yisrael. If you think it's yours, then you can't get Eretz Yisrael.
Why don't you say the same thing by tzedakah? Why don't you say the same cheshbon by tzedakah?
That I realize it's not my money. And probably we do, but we have ganz halachas that even more the other way. That's maybe could be. By payah, you can make your whole soda payah, right? And does it say maybe Same thing, would there be such a thing? I don't know. I really don't know if there'd be such a thing, concept of it. But by tzedakah, you do have such a thing. There's a certain amount you can give. You can't just give a hefkedike thing. I'm a sport. But I can't give away what my kids are not going to have. That I can't do. I can give that. So maybe there's a limit on my bailus in a certain sense. It's maybe limited to keep for myself, but it's still limiting that I can't do with what I want to. So maybe if a guy realizes that and stalk it too, it's all bizarre. And again, the Torah uses the lashon here, but it is more b'Hashem. That's for Geneva. That's the only time that you use that lashon is more b'Hashem is Geneva, because when normally if you take me'ila mamish, when you're misusing hegdish, it's called me'ila, but you're not more b'Hashem. You're more. Why? Because you misused it. Was done, right? You did a mistake, or you did it on purpose, for whatever reason. But if you take something, I steal something. So what am I saying? I'm saying, why am I stealing it? I'm stealing it because God don't want to give it to me. So I'm taking it myself. Right? Or I'm saying, God can't give it to me. Whatever way you want to say it. Either way, you're more b'Hashem. You're saying there's something the B'Hashem can't do. And that's the Ikar, and that's a big Issa. It's called that in Parshas Vayikra, by Asham Me'iloi, Asham Gselis, it's called more b'Hashem, said over here, and we have it also the fact that a guy sold for Geneva, he's mutter b'shivcha kananis. That means we're matter for him something in Kedushas Yisrael. Like this, a Yid is not mutter in a shivcha. Even though shivcha kananis is partially Jewish, whatever you want to call it. But Lamai says she's close to Kadesh. There's an Israel, she's a Kadesha. But you're a Shegit, you can marry her. You can live with her, you can't marry her, you can live with her. Okay. So the B'Hashem really wants you to know that all bailus really is only the right to use it. That's what it means. I'm giving you the right to use it. It's not forever, no guarantee forever. And that's why you have a few places puts down when you talk about bailus, stalker. You should remember it's a ganiyus, a galgal achoizer, and the pshat is, and therefore it's even some lotion. I think one guy said to the wife, make sure you give good and nice, because in case our enikach have to be aniyim, that we should have rachmanis and aniyim, that they'll have rachmanis on our enikach. So there's no guarantee. I got $1 billion. What are you worried about? I mean, $1 billion is enough for everybody. There's no such thing as, you need more money than $1 billion. I mean, I tell to the boys, $1 million can masik thing. What's $1 million? It's $1,000 a day, $1,000 a person. It's easy to be masik already. A day is for sure. It's about 3 years. That's $1 million. $1 billion is $1,000 a day for 3,000 years. So you can be masik that. So you can't even masik that. So when you're talking about $1 billion, as a billionaire, you have no asog what you're talking about. Those means, you don't even have an appreciation of what it means. You can't even masig it. So I'm saying, so therefore, the fact that I have it, so it'll be always by me. I have enough for $, so for $10, $100, yeah. If this doesn't happen, if this doesn't happen, if this doesn't happen. And therefore it doesn't make a difference. All the big Gevirim of Europe didn't make it here. And the Makdim and Ben Gurions didn't make it past citizens. I guess he was a billionaire in his time, whatever that meant. So they think so. By Teres HaNoya is also the same thing. All I have is the Hanoya from it. I give it to someone, and that's also bias, and therefore it has value to it. It talks about Saita. Okay. Now Saita, you see some Achlekes in the Gemara. Benazai was arguing with him. I don't know who was arguing with him. Benazai says in Mechuyev to tell Saita, there's a shayla in the Gemara. It comes out that it's a fact that if you have schusim, which is tzidkonius, balas chesed, like this, then the mayim amorim don't kill her right away. She can live a year, can live 2 years, 3 years, so on. So Benazai says you got to tell it to the daughters that you should know if you're Saita and you don't die right away, doesn't mean that the Torah is not emes. And you die, you have schusim. That's why you're not dying so fast. The other guy says, Kol HaMelamed Bitei Torah Kidlo Melam the Tiflus. He says it on this halacha. If I teach that to my daughter, that's a dangerous thing. Why? Because a lot of times we have bushes, what keeps us in line. I have a Yetzer Hara, right? But if I would do it and people would talk about me, I'd be embarrassed. That they talk that I'm such a Yid, that I felt such a madrege, that I have the taiva, that I'd be embarrassed. So if people will know about it, I won't do it. So that's the biggest protection. So we talk about a Yetzer Hara that they said Fine can come to Yetzer Hara. So it's not talking about that they have. So there's like putting yourself into a matzav. So you have the Bruria, Rashi brings even Bruria, that the guy was Tsvia, and the fact that she accepted whatever it means in there, and then she commits suicide because of it. The busha is that great. So if I tell you're not going to die right away, so people will not know that you really a Saita, so that's it. So I'm willing to die for the Yetzer Hara. In other words, what do you mean you're willing to die? No one's willing to die, but meaning that the Yetzer Hara is so strong, if that's the price, that's the price. But I'm going to do it then. But the busha is so strong that you wouldn't do it no matter how much keiches you have. I think that's how keiches of busha is. Thank you. So anyway, so the Saita, and we said we paid the thing there, and he has to bring thing. I'm not getting into the machlekes, and I don't remember which one was tasted from the Gemara. There's 5 terutzim. I think I remember 4 of them. The Kohen has to make tenufa with a Saita. What's tenufa? That a person, the Kohen, puts his hands on the Yad HaBailim, and they make tenufa. How are you allowed to do that? Right? So, the Gemara gives a bunch of answers. One is, there's no Yetzer Hara in the Mikdash. Number 2, you take an old Kohen. Who has no Yetzer Hara already. You have another one. 3 is you use a beged as a hefsek between them. A hefsek, a beged is a hefsek. My machshava don't work the same. Your machshava maybe works the same, but it's not the same isa. You got to remember that. You see this, so there's a big difference. The other one's a short period of time. You're just holding it for 2 seconds. So what about a handshake? That's where the handshake comes in the thing over there. So the Shiva use a lotion. You don't give your hand to a woman. Didn't say what happens if they put their hands out. Talk about that. When I taste for you or whatever it was. Fifth one I don't remember.
Tesis says that when she's in that matzah, there's no yitzhar.
There's no yitzhar. That's some that she's in the matzah. No yitzhar. That's the first one right there. So these are things that, the agavuchatik halachas would somehow affect our lives very stark. Normally I'll tell you what's the big deal. Where do you go? Who's shaking hands with women, right? Okay. I had, the governors of about half the states are women. And there were a lot of guys that have to go, what they call advocates, right? And they have and the governor puts out a hand to you. What do? Okay, I'm not giving them, that's your problem. I'm giving you the answers for it. Aber im so wissen, it's not poshut. You're fakir, you're the tzaddik, you're the guy that's oisik for tzochet tzibur and the stuff, you're going to have the nesayin. Most people don't have the nesayin. So I'm saying this. My wife was the principal, so what she did, she always carried books. I can't shake, so she would bow. You'd carry books in her hands. So never got into the position of having to shake your hand. And I saw Taki, the Lakewood Weiberlach, that they become OTs, PTs, whatever they are, bunch of T's. Right? So they go to a certain university. So every guy who gets his diploma comes up, the dean shakes his hand, gives him the diploma, then they stand separate, and he comes to them. He does not shake their hands. He just bows to them, and they bow to him back, and then they open their thing there. So, but you have to explain it. People have to know about it. You have a mice with the Pope and a former woman that used to, one of she worked for who? The guy became president, who was prime minister, became president of Israel. She worked for him, and she was, I think, married to the guys from Deglatera. Right, so when she didn't shake hands with the Pope either. The Pope put out the hand, and she didn't shake your hand, and he answered, what's Frekta? And they told him that she doesn't shake hands because it's the thing. So he appreciated it. And the thing over there, so he talked to her a lot, and whatever it is. And it's interesting that and it says the Lo Shemor B'Isha, and we have a Shaykan to Shayla Mor B'Isha. Now, L'chayra Mor B'Isha means what my paid is, right? I hold my wife, she's loyal to me. She has no right, whatever thing. What about Mordechai and Esther? He told her to go to Achashverosh. What did she say? Kasher avarati. Right? I'm going to be also to you. Okay, it's also. But what the idea is that even though you did with Bishus, what means Bishus? He forced me to go. What means Bishus? right? Afal Pikein, that's still called a Me'ila B'Baila. Because the deal of marriage and stuff like that is this one person in the world you have children with. That's it. I mean, you have more than one of us, not going into that, what laws exist in that. But Lamaisa, I wanted to time it that may be a different type of Kedusha, to understand Kedusha. What is the bracha we make on Kedusha, on Precious, if you want to put it that way, is, what do you say, though? Right? So that means Chuppah Kedushin, it makes the Kedusha of Klal Yisrael. It's a big deal. The Isa needs to you're not muted like a goy to every woman in the world. You're only muted to one woman, the one you married. I said, okay, you can learn Pshat, Kipshuta, the Rambam, that itself is precious. In other words, a lot of mitzvahs, a guy is allowed to eat. Right? He's hungry, he has to keep himself alive. Right? We also have the Zalbachiv. Bachasa we can't eat, and this we can't eat, and this we can't eat. It's got to be geschochten, it's got to be salted, it's got to be the man's ganze halachas before you can put something in your mouth. And they're saying, oh, but we have to eat. You see, there's enough to eat if they do all the halachas. Right? You don't have to worry about it. But that makes us kedusha, that makes precious. And if you look at a person or the world's understanding, that's a holy notion. Who do you say that about? About a Polish. You don't say it about when a guy has all the anoyas of Olam. A guy is a Polish. You say he's a holy person, right? But is that really true? Probably not. But that's the way you touch it up. I was winning time, and maybe the Torahs even tell me a größere Sache. It's not only that I'm not doing what the goy does, but it makes a different relationship between the husband and the wife. Now, was a guy that's mutter to every woman in the world, he doesn't make a relationship with one, because I have shaykhs with all of them. There's no reason that ain't there. But this is the one miyuchat for you. This is the only one you're going to have. It's the only one you have. It's another relationship. There's an need of kedusha coming from the relationship that comes into it. So there's a big difference maybe. That's the touch of Kamishama Yisrael, the Chuppah V'Kedushin. That we only have one, or whatever we have, that's the yuchid. And therefore there's different ideas. We talk about Kedusha, we talk about this thing and that thing. Okay. Then you talk about Naso, which is the next Isa. He talks about it, and this is really why it's a big seder. You put in things like her, not the gay here, besides the fact again. Anyway, what's Naso? So it's not a din of drunkenness. A lot of times you want to learn the Yisr is alcohol. Okay, there's something to it. You can say alcohol is healthy, a certain amount. My brother used to drink, after he got to be 40, a glass a day. I don't know what it is, but they say about it. He did. Alcohol somehow does you something to help us up things for you, I don't know, whatever it does. Okay. I don't do any of it. Not because tzaddik, I have no yetzara for it, and it burns, and therefore what kind of yetzara do you have for it? It's not ice cream. Ice cream verstehe ich. But this thing burns. It burns the kishkis. So why you want it for? Oh, you want the result. There's also a thing there. You want to have chaos that makes. You want that's a bad thing. So you don't really want it. That's what I'm saying. So the point that a person is, he always has to match, to be careful about what you're matering. Now, Nazir is also in grapes, in raisins, in the chatzanim, in those little things that are connected to the thing you're not allowed to eat. What has that got to do with any alcohol, right? It's not in alcohol. It's in yayin, in the meaning the payah. So you can say the payah is a minder to the payah also. Well, it's that it's such a choshev a payah that it has taste and has what he called, and the truth is we don't like wine. I can't say about everybody, but I'm saying the normal kid does not like wine. He likes Malaga wine, maybe. Why? Because Malaga wine is sweet and nice and this and thing. They give him a Sauvignon or Sauvignon, whatever they call it, Cabernet, and which costs you $100 or $200 a bottle or stuff like that. They'll say, "Ich." It says you're going to make like that because it's very sour. Right? It's an acquired taste. Again, not a taste that's acquired. Beer is acquired. Olives are acquired. I mean, so why are you guys eating? How did you get used to it? You're bringing a Yetzirah on top of yourself. You felt the Yetzirah, okay. The guy doesn't feel he doesn't have enough. I can't stop him. I know I got plenty, so I don't need extra ones. So I'm saying, okay. So it has nothing to do with alcohol. Because you have the Gemara that says, "Araya soite bikilkul." It says, what's the smichus of soite to Nazir? Because Araya soite bikilkul yazrat from enayayin. So we translate it to mean that since you saw a bikilkul, so you see what wine can do to you, so therefore we get away from wine. But that's not true. Like we're saying, it's not only the wine that's also, it's the grape juice that's also, it's the grape that's also, it's the raisin that's also. So why is it ending? So Shiva learns the din of Yosef's kedusha. This is something to understand. Like Hasidim, let's say, they go to the mikveh every day before davening. Do you know that the mevatel takona sesa? Why the takona sesa? What's the takona sesa? We make it tircha to Klal Yisrael. Shliyu b'nei talmidei chachamim netzuyin etzel nishaseim ketane goyim. That's the reason that we made you go to the mikveh. So therefore, if you're Talmud Chacham, you're going to stay, you're going to sit in there. It's a tircha, it's a big tircha to go to the mikveh every day. So you live whenever you have the mitzvah in it. You'll do the mitzvah in it, then you won't do anything more than that. So that's what the Torah wants, or the Rabbanan wanted from the thing there. Aber, right, so that's mitzvah in it. But if I go anyway, I'm going every day, so why shouldn't I? Right? I'm going to go to the mikveh anyway, so what difference does it make? So that's why, so you got to tie in it to dinner of Yosef's kedusha. That's the point, that they want an Indian that before you go to daven, you should make yourself more holy. And going to the mikveh makes you holy. That's the point. So you need it. Nafkamenu would be what mikveh you go to. Yosef's kedusha, you need a kosher mikveh, not a mikveh for men. I think that now, so then for Katkona Sazli, you need a mikveh for men. That's the big difference that will be in between the two. So when we have the Yontif, they used to be here, you have mikveh goes to the mikveh. I told the guys, take out the powder, we should always be Hashoke. It's a kosher mikveh for men. Because the Chai Vodna Mekavah to be the regular. So okay, so they have to retire yourself at the surface kedusha. So therefore, I need a kosher mikveh. It's kosher for a woman for mikveh. So that's right. So that's big enough gemina. You had also to explain. I don't forget the shtickle teir that was negayah. You go on the dorm from Bomen Adorim. There was the Maisu, the guy in the dorm that he came in Adorim, and he in time of Shimon HaTzadik, and he brought and he was a nozer, and he became a nozer Tomei. Well, it's a machlekes with us, okay, over there on the place, which was Stam Nozer and Nozer Tomei. But because Nozer Tomei is l'kul alma, so the idea is that he never ate from the korban of a nozer. Why? Because he held the nozer always had charote for what he, or maybe he had charote, and therefore the korban felt in the korban. The point of it. This guy came, and he was a very handsome person. He said he was. I was still told to do this and whatever it is that. And he said he saw himself once in the water, and I talked for Yitzchak, and he said, I'm going to cut you off Lashem, and then it'd be the thing there. So they want to go into the union that that you did a very nice thing. That you did it L'Shem Kavod Shemaim. So most people learn it because he shouldn't have been nichshel in the Aveirah, right? That he's a handsome man, so maybe people will be Tveya him was nus, so he's choshed himself, so therefore he made himself a nozer. I said, I don't understand. If that's really the chashash of the person, he should have gone in and take a 0 haircut and it's finished the Yitzhahara. So why do you have to make yourself into a nozer for? Right? Elavos, I don't want that. I want to magdish my hair. And what are you supposed to do with the hair? You put it down on the fire, tachas the korban that you're cooking. That's where you burn the hair. Okay, so that's where you burn it. That's what I want. I want to magdish my hair. I don't want to. You made a beautiful thing. You made my hair beautiful. So what did you make it for? So should it be for taiva? No, you made it taiva kaddish Hashem. So let me make it into nazir. That's nazir lahazal Hashem. Not like the thing there. Okay, you have an Indian, and then he goes into the Birkas Kahanim. Okay. Just an interesting part about Birkas Kahanim, that this is, I heard this from Hershey Jacob, who was the house bach of the Kapitchen Rebbe for a time. And this is a story he told me, my neighbor. He, Panovich Harav used to come always to visit, when he was in America, to come visit the Kapitchen Rebbe. I guess he gave him money and stuff like that, whatever. So he came out with the Rebbe to meet the Panovich Harav. Say, yes, the Rebbe, maybe you can ask him to give him a bracha. Panovich Harav was a Kohen. So he said to him, what does he want? The Svila says he wants a bracha. It's all a bet. Okay, so he asked the Panovich Harav for a bracha, and he says, and he said the whole bracha, till the end, and he says, that's the chiyuv of Kohen. If you ask a Kohen for a bracha, he has to give you the bracha, not to say gesund. That's not the bracha that a Kohen has to give. A Kohen has to give you v'rechecha. I think that. So it's an interesting point. Yeah, so we're talking about Birkas Kahanim. So the last part is Yisa Hashem Ponav Elecha V'Yasmucha Shalom. So Ben Hashem should give you favoritism. Yisa Hashem. And so the Malachim asked the Ben Shalom, it says, Yisa upon him, that you don't show favoritism. So how come you say, oh, Yisa Hashem Ponav Elecha, that you should show favoritism? So he said, the Gemara answers that the Rebbeinu Shem answers them back, that he says, how can I not give him favoritism? I was Mechayev V'chalto Soleite V'rachta, that you have to be full before you have to bench. And they bench even by a Kizayas and a Baal. But that's all Machlekes in Tanoim, if you need a Kizayas or a Baal. Whatever it is. But they always use the lotion together. And they bench. You know, when I learned the Gemara, the first thing that hit me, it's a Bachal Torah. If I didn't eat the Shia, right? So it's Bachal Torah. What are you going to tell me? It's a Maila you benching, you didn't eat the Shia. It's a Bachal Torah. Okay. So I said one time, I want to machadish a different thing here, which is negay to a shir I have on an Indian of a cotton benching for a gadol. That's the din of the. I'm not going into that piece. I'll give you the shir for that. Anyway, but that this we're talking about the raisa, not the kezayis gibei, which is the rabbanon were masakin, because that the kasha is it's a bachal Torah. No, Taina is the I was masakin. You should have when you chayiv to have hakos hatev, you're full. The yid has hakos hatev when he eats a kezayis and a bayit. Baruch Hashem, I'm not as hungry as I was a minute ago. Not only that, I can live another day on what I ate. So I'm thankful for that. Now you chayiv the raisa. The Benishim said, whenever a person feels hakos hatev to bench, then he has to bench, he's mechuyev to bench. Right? That's the raisa. Right? I don't expect you to feel that unless unless it was, what do you call it? Unless you were full. But if you have hakos hatev even when you're not full, so you're mechuyev to do it with the raisa. That's why it's a deraisa and the cotton can be got to a gadol. I'm not getting involved in that, but anyway, that's the point. That's a deraisa. Okay. Okay. Then it goes into that what the Nesiim brought. They messed up. They brought millions of dollars worth of stuff. They brought in Avnei Muluyim, Avnei Zoyda, and the Ketores and the Shem Lamoa. This they brought. It's in the millions. The stones for sure in the millions. Right? So the Kashi, and they're not called in the Div Lev. The Benishim took out a letter from their name, because you don't find that they gave any money to the Binyan HaMishkan. They gave it to Big Day Kahuna, but not to the Binyan HaMishkan. Why not? Because they came to the Benish, or they came to the Gabbai, Tzaro, or whoever was there, and say, Tzaro, here's a blank check. You fill it in whatever number you need at the end, and you fill it in, and it's good. Came to Maise, they didn't have to fill it in. They didn't finish the whole Mishkan. They didn't have a chaylik in the Mishkan, chutz for the chotzi, for the Masa Shekel, for the Adonim. It's the only thing that they had in the Mishkan. But that's all. The Big Kahuna they had. So they took away what pshat, what takib pshat, what's in the div leif, every executive director would love these type of people. Here's a blank check and whatever it is there, they love you. But that's not a mile of the guy. That's easy for the executive director, if you want. But the mice, as far as the guy goes, your chiyuv is to be involved all the time. I come in the morning and I say, what do you need? What are you doing today? What do you need? What can I give you? And then stuff like that. That's what you come like every day, but they only have to come 2 days ago to the Goyen. Babaika. It was only 2 days they came. That's the chiyuv. So anyway, so you weren't involved. If you weren't involved, you took out the yud for your name. Now they want to do tshuva. How are they going to do tshuva? So they said, we don't have in the Mishkan, but we have a guarantee. Wherever the Mishkan will have to go, we will pay for it. We're going to give you the wagons to get there. Which means they guarantee that they will rebuild Torah wherever the book in the Klal Yisrael goes. That will be rebuilt Torah. That's different. Come to understand it, that was what Aaron was jealous about. You know, like you say, Rashi says he wasn't part of the Nisim and the Matone, and he wasn't making any korbanos from after his Shevet. So he was jealous. I say, what's like Makab jealous? First of all, and as far as the first thing, he gave money. So therefore, if he gave money, he doesn't need a kapara. So he needs the things to sort. And if you want to say about the korban for the Shevet, is there any korban you can bring without Aaron? It only comes with Aaron. You know, if you wanted to have for your own Shevet, plus you gave it. That's how you do the work. And that makes everybody else is gone. At least you're equal. But whatever it is that you don't give it, you do the avodah for us, whatever it is. Anyway, he said he bought the 6 wagons and the 12. And this the Medrash says, why did they not give, or they could have given in a different way. They could have given 6 guys, give 2 oxen each, and 6 guys who give a wagon each, right? What they did was 12, each one paid for half a wagon, so it said 12 paid 6, and each one brought 1 ox. And they're saying that if you would have done it the other way too. So he says, no, we couldn't have done it the other way. They wanted to be sayin the oxen and sayin the wagon. Some of the wagon breaks, so therefore we still have the ox that's still for chelik. The ox dies, we still have the wagon that's being worked. That's the thing though. So you think about this, like, you know, it sounds like crazy thing that something both can happen. I mean, whatever. There was a town in Massachusetts. I don't want to say for people, but the Rav there in the 1920s somewhere made a fund that if there ever be a bacher that wants to go to yeshiva, the community will pay tuition for him. Obviously, that was done in the 20s. When they came to the Maisa, the Hasogas was still the 20s. But the idea was, but he did it. Why do you have to do it? Well, they'll do it because he won't think of it. The guy wants to go to yeshiva, let him go himself. What's he got to do? No. You want to go to yeshiva, the Kehillah has a job to pay for you to go to yeshiva. And that was what he wanted to establish. And what he called. And in Taki, they gave something. I don't know what it was, but they gave something. Because that's what part of the fund. Okay. The thing is, so it's an Indian that, so here also, that the Pshat is how she was jealous that what hashkofas can I tell Kol Yisrael? The Ikir hashkofa is that the Torah is the most important thing in your life. That's the most important thing, right? So if that's the case, the Nesiim already taught that. We didn't give there. You see the Hacharot there, we made wagons that were guaranteeing that there will always be renewal of Torah wherever it goes. So they got the most. That's what the Beniman tells you. No, your job is haloischos haneches. Your job is the nitty-gritty of teaching. That shot is nochamo, nochamo, nochamo. A father can't do that. A Rebbe can do it. It's his job. So the kids don't even have a time on the Rebbe, like, he made me say it over 10 times. No, that's his job. My father made me tell it 10 times, Daddy, stop bothering me. What do you think Dawson did? And that's what he would do, what the Beniman said. Okay. So, okay. So that was what he did, and he gave it according 4 to Merari and 2 to Gershon. Gershon had all the curtains and all the ceilings and all that, and the Merari had all the beams. And they had the word out that it said they had 4 too, and Kahos was by Kosev Yisrael. They carried everything because the Kodesh they had. Okay. Okay. And that happens, it's interesting that there's Kemat no Rashi here. Right, when he got into the Korbanos of the Nesiim. Because same thing over and over and over again. But it was not a korban. It has a halacha of a korban tzibur, because it was the same korban, and so it was the Efraim brought on Shabbos, and it was Deicha Shabbos. Normally, a korban yochid is not Deicha Shabbos, but this one was Deicha Shabbos because it was the same. But why it was the same, that's the strangest part. They have, if you go to, it's the biggest Medrash Rabbah that exists, is the Nesiim. And it's the longest thing. In each one, he explains each korban, why each one came out at exactly the same thing with the other guy for different reasons. And the thing there. And in there you see a little bit the Indian of the Chet of Shimon. We'll get to later on about that. Then you had each day they brought their own korbanos and whatever it is there, and these were the things. Now just one point at the end, you got 1 minute. It says over here, by Moishel, Oyomoyed, L'daber Itay, Vayishmer Sakel, Midaber Elov, Rashi says, what does it mean? Misdaber. It doesn't, it's a chutzpah to say the Rebbeinu spoke to Moshe. It's not the covet of the Mokum. What's that mean? He says, Vaydaber Shema Moshe Lema. I mean, how many times you can tell me that? No, that's just a way of expressing itself. But the Rebbeinu Shalom spoke between him and himself, and Moshe heard. That's the way it works. So what's the curl? Sheva Rozin, Sheva this, that's the sound of the curl. Where does Moshe hear it? Either somehow he's in the Mishkan, we have to figure out how he's got into the Mishkan, because he couldn't go in after the Yonan was there. So where did he ever speak to Rebbeinu Shalom? Or he's still outside, and he put his head to the thing, and it stopped, the voice stops by the wall of the Mishkan, but if his ear is next to the thing, maybe he hears it. I have no idea exactly how he heard it. But what Moshe spoke to Moshe Rabbeinu, but that's what it means. Lahalocha, this has nothing to do from this pasuk. But this is what the Shiva told me once. My mother used to wear hearing aids on Shabbos. I don't wear them on Shabbos yet. I don't want to say I won't wear my Shabbos because I don't know. Because right now I don't hear nothing come Shabbos. But the rest of the week I can hear. She used to wear hearing aids and she slept with him, and she had to make a piece of tape that it shouldn't be able to make it bigger or smaller. and stuff like that. So, I mean, there was the whole thing that they had to do there. And the shaila is not on her. The shaila is on the talker. Who's the one that makes the thing work? The guy who talks, not the guy who listens. Right? So we can't talk to her. So what difference does it make? So he says that's not called talking to her. Talking to her, I don't believe he brought from this Rashi. That's what I'm saying. He says talking to her means you whisper in her ear. That's talking to her. But even if you're the only two in the room, but you're talking in a voice that if there be other people they will also hear, that's not called talking to her. And that's what Rashi says over here. That's called talking to yourself. The thing goes in there, and whoever hears. And that's the person, that's the cover dimension. So from that you have now a problem. What is this whole Maaseh that you're talking about in Bereshis? The Bereshis don't want that wanted to talk to Sorah. And you passed them for talking to a woman, to a Bible. What do you trace them in a cup? He doesn't talk to men either, right? So that's the pshat. He wanted Sorah. He doesn't talk to a Navi. He doesn't talk to a man. Doesn't make a difference. But he wanted to talk to Sorah. Why would he want to talk to Sorah? Because Sorah is different than any other Navi. Sorah and Avram, right? Avram is miyuchas l'terach. Sorah is not miyuchas l'terach. It says twice where it says Sorah Eishes Avram Avi Yiska Milka Yiska Bas Horan when it says by Milka Avi Bas Horan Avi Milka Yiska. Who's Yiska? Yiska is Sorah. The Sorah thing there. But it doesn't say the word Sorah. You need a Rashi to tell me that it's Sorah. Nowhere does it say Sorah is a daughter of her. Where does it say Fakert? It says an interesting thing. Vayikach, what is the end of Noach? They took what? He took his son. Let's see how he takes it. 1 second. It's in Meir Gezachtet. In this is Vayikach terches Avram benoi, Vesloit ben Horon ben benoi, Vesorai kalosai Eishes Avram, not kalosai but Bas benoi, or something like that, right? Why does it say Eishes Avram? Because you're not miyuchas to me at all, not at all. Even not to mention that you is, and that's a sach that is a kedusha that she's not miyuchas to terach to, even though he's not maybe good in the end or whatever it is there, but she's not miyuchas. He was never the source. That you don't find Avram Vinu. You're miyuchas to terach. You're his son, and that's the gedula, and that's why he wanted to talk to Sarah and to talk over there. That was what he wanted, not because she's a Bible. And when I sing dort, and the impossible talk the Bible. You don't talk to anybody. But the soul he wanted to talk. So he waited till he was able to talk. Ki tzochakt. Remember ki tzochakt. Okay, I'm getting Shabbos, everybody.
Shabbos, Shabbos.
Shabbos.